Hello, everybody. Yes, Ballerina, you're right. We are in the home stretch of Vlogmas. Today is day 20 of Vlogmas. For the last 19 days, I have been here live on the YouTube channel at 2 p.m. To talk to y'all about a variety of topics. And so, yes, our last Vlogmas will be December 25th, Christmas Day. Hello to everybody who is here live in the chat. Hello to all the folks who come through and watch the replay. Appreciate y'all just as much. Um, if you happen to be new here, the algorithm from YouTube may have thought that you would enjoy this video or one of my other videos. My name is Adelia Aborishade. I am coming to you live from wonderful Mexico City, where I have been living on and off since 2017. Um, and I use this channel to help people like you get on the path to living the life of their dreams. I do that a variety of ways. I am a financial educator. I also help people plan their moves abroad. If that is something you're interested in, I share my experiences living outside the US as well as traveling the world. I just looked at my list the other day. It seems that I have just in November hit country number 50. I'm not trying to necessarily hit a certain number, but I thought that was still an interesting, not landmark, achievement. I don't know if that's achievement, but anyway, glad you found the channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, if you want to talk about money and travel and moving abroad, this is the channel for you. The Picky Girl Nation, we're your people. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Those of you who've been watching my videos for a long time and are not subscribed, pretty please, could y'all go and subscribe? I am inching closer and closer to my goal of 20,000 subscribers before the end of the year. And if you're not subscribed, you could help me get there. Um, Today, we are going to talk about the problem with travel points. And I will come out the box and say, you may not have the same issues with this system that I do, but I don't hear, honestly, I don't hear enough people talking about the downsides of, points hacking, travel rewards, and all of that. So I wanted to come on here and give my little 2 cents about it. Primarily, I am talking about credit cards, travel credit cards. I don't think there is a day that goes by that in any of the online communities and spaces that I am in, that someone isn't asking for referrals or suggestions about a travel card. I think a lot of folks, because there are people on the internet saying like, yeah, I went to this incredible 5-star resort and I only paid $1.99 because I had it all in points. I think a lot of people think, oh, it's simple. You just get a travel rewards credit card, you spend some money, you get some points, bam, great vacation for little to no money. It doesn't work quite that way, and so that's what we're going to talk about. I see that Dee is looking into booking some flights with my points right now, and I want y'all to know, like, I have some points. I have booked points flights when I went to Toronto this summer to see Beyonce. I booked that flight with points. I actually lucked up because I did not like the cash prices for that particular flight. I found something on Delta that was significantly cheaper when paying with points, and then never found that flight again. So I do use it, but I don't let it drive my travel planning. I'll say that. Okay, so My first issue with particularly uh, credit card rewards, credit card travel rewards, that kind of stuff, is it encourages spend well, first of all, let's talk about how it works. You get a credit card that based off of your spend, they are going to give you so many points. They might give you like I have a Delta Amex, and they if I buy a Delta flight on that credit card, or I pay for Mia's pet fee when she flies with me on that credit card, they will give me two times the points that they would if I were just putting it on a regular card. Um, and so you make a purchase, and for every dollar you spend, you get a point. And then these cards will often give you different number of points based on the category you're spending. So, like my Delta card has the highest reward if I spend money with Delta. You see how they're doing that? Because they want me to spend, they want when I am getting ready to book a flight, they want me to think twice about booking with somebody else because if I spend the money with Delta, I get double the points. And the idea is that eventually I will be able to use those points to book free travel. That's the general idea. Um, Now, my issue with that, people often approach getting these cards. They're like, "Oh, I've got, some major spending coming up. I might as well get a little something on the back end. Like, I got to get the transmission in my truck. Um, I got to get the transmission in my truck replaced if I'm going to drop two, three, $4,000. I have no idea how much a transmission costs. But let's say I'm gonna drop $4,000. I'd love to put it on a card that's going to give me some benefit for paying. Okay, so that's the idea. And people think, oh, okay, I'm just gonna take the spending that I'm already doing and put it on this one card and get this benefit. That's what people go into it thinking. But what happens is you eventually find yourself spending money, additional money, because you're thinking about, oh, but I'm gonna get points on this. So the your spending behavior often changes when you bring these kinds of credit cards into the mix. I feel like they encourage spending for the sake of spending because you're like, it don't matter if I bought, I spent a little extra at dinner the other night because I'm getting points for that. People think that that they will continue to spend or spend mindfully, and often what happens is they spend more money because of the enticement of the points. Now, let's talk about these sign up bonuses because that's really, if you're going to play the game, that's how you, I'm not going to say how you win, but that's how you score some points. Pun intended there. Let's talk about the sign up bonus because through your regular spending, the accrual of points will be fairly slow. So let's say all if you put everything that you're spending money on in a month on your card, let's say your household expenses are like 4,000, $5,000, right? You put that all. Okay, so that means at the end of a month you've got 4,000 points. A flight that you might want to take might be because I remember long time ago when you needed 25,000 points and you can get a round trip ticket. Those days are gone for the most part. So if they need, let's say, 100,000 points for something, it's going to take you a while to get there, and that's there's a lot of variables in there. Okay, so let's talk about these sign-on bonuses. Typically, what that is you get the regular points in the different categories, but additionally, when you open the card, they may sweeten the pot and give you an extra 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90,000 points if you meet the minimum spend in the first few months you open the card. So to take advantage of that, you got to be strategic. The Delta card I have, that's exactly what I did. The reason I opened it was because I forget what it was that I had to pay, but I knew I was going to be coming off a big chunk of money. And so I was like, let's see who's giving a significant number of points. And so I got the card, immediately spent the big chunk of money I intended. And it was within like the first 3 months of having that card open. And I got those additional points. Right. Now, again, do you see how having that minimum spend requirement in the first few months is going to, it may, if you're not being strategic about it, if it may persuade you, make you feel like, oh, I really, like I was really only going to put like about 500, $600 of stuff on this card. But they said that if I spend $3,000 in the first 3 months, I get, all these points. Well, let me find things to buy. That that kind of behavior can be very, very dangerous. And again, it can allow your spending to get away from you because you're always thinking about these points that you're going to be able to use for all of this travel and dining out and hotels and all that stuff. That may or may not be the case. So what does this say? Definitely encourages spending. I use cards primarily for travel, one for domestic, one for international, rewards to pay toward bills. Okay. Um, yeah, they encourage spending because they keep advertising the additional benefits to get you there. And y'all, that advertising ain't cheap. Okay. So that is one of my big issues with this whole ecosystem is that, and think about it, I am somebody who works with people up to getting control of their finances. Um, that if you're not very careful and you're not very strategic and you get into this game, you may end up spending far more money than you normally would because you want these points. Now, if those points were equal to dollars, that would be one thing. But when it comes time to redeem them, that is not always the case. Um, the interest rate on credit cards right now, the vast majority of them are over 20%. Playing the points game only works if you never keep a balance. You never carry a balance. The minute you start carrying a balance on those cards, those free points are now costing you money. And at 20, 25% interest, they're costing you a lot of money. And so think about it. You the way they're set up, they encourage you to spend more money. You may end up spending more money than you intended, and you may end up spending more money than you actually have the ability to pay off at the end of the month. Guess who wins there? The credit card company does, because now they are charging you interest. Okay. So that I don't love that. My other issue, uh I, people don't think about credit card interest and they don't think about credit cards as the loans that they are. If you are not, every time you use your credit card, you are borrowing somebody's money. And if you pay that money back at the end of the month, they let you do it for free. But if by chance you miss that payment deadline by 5 minutes, they hit you with interest. And now that loan is costing you money. Um, Additionally, beside where you get into trouble if you're carrying a balance and having to pay interest. And by the way, there is no card in existence that is giving you good enough benefits to justify the price you're paying in interest if you carry a balance. Argue with your mom about that. There is not a single card that the benefit you are getting should make it okay to carry a balance and pay that kind of interest. Absolutely not. The other issue is a lot of these cards have annual fees. And often what happens is when you first apply and they give you that sign up bonus, they may waive the annual fee for the first year. which is great. If you're super strategic about it, you can come out ahead. But here comes the second year of that card. You want to keep using it because you're like, oh, they pay me 2 times the points for this, 3 times the points for that. But now, in your calculation of whether or not it's worth having this card, you need to include the cost of that annual fee. And that annual fee for some of these cards is six, seven, $800. So y'all know I don't believe in paying for the privilege of having somebody's credit card or banking at somebody's bank. So it goes without saying that I am not a fan of that. If you add to it, some of these, depending on the program you're in, some of them, they want you to do things like buy points. They'll send you an email and says, oh, you can buy points for 50% off, blah, blah, blah. You're not gonna, that's not good. You're not gonna win there. They are coming out ahead because it's gonna all be about when it comes time to redeem those points, the value that they are, because it's never a one-to-one thing. It's never I've got 1,000 points and I can book $1,000 a night hotel or I can buy $1,000 trip flight. It's never that. Your points are generally worth like pennies on the dollar. And so if the airline is talking to you about buying points, there are very few times when that is advantageous to you. Yes, you have to be strategic. Um, and if you are carrying debt, you are losing this game and they have made you into their mark. Okay. It is not for everyone. And the thing is, folks out here on TikTok and Instagram will make you think, oh, anybody can play this game. This game is not for everybody. It's not. Okay, so when it comes time to redeem the points, how much your points are actually worth, that changes, and that generally doesn't change in your favor. So like some people are like, I'm saving up these points, I'm saving up these points. Because they're planning like some big, like I'm gonna fly to Bora Bora or something. And then when it comes time to redeem them, because they've had them, let's say they've accumulated them over 10 years. What you could have redeemed those points for 10 years ago versus today, very different. Y'all remember a few months ago, the big hullabaloo about Delta making changes to their status program and making changes also about points values. They basically are planning to devalue the Delta miles in the next year. So again, this is where strategy comes into play if you don't want to get taken advantage of. Some of these cards will even direct you to their portal to redeem the points. I've yet to see a better price on the portal than I could booking in cash. And so if whatever points or miles situation you're signed up for, the only way that you can redeem them is through the portal, I'd be through their specific portal, I'd be very careful because odds are you're not getting a great deal. The real uh, way to win at this, and I don't see enough people talking about this, is transferring the points. So if you're, and I am no points guru at all, but if you're really going to do it, what you need to do is, let's say you've got these credit cards and you've kept track of, this one pays this much for eating out, this one pays this much for groceries, and you're using them all in the strategic way. Then if it's travel, it's like, which which hotel brands, airlines have a redemption scheme with the card that you're on? Can you transfer your points from that card to Emirates and then use it to buy a flight? So you can do it, but do you see how much work goes into that? As Dee said, it is a job to figure this all out, which is another one of my complaints about this is, as y'all know, I am about ease, simplicity. This does not fit with that. In my lifestyle, this is like a second job, and I don't want no more jobs. So it doesn't really align with something that's of a strong value of mine, ease. It also doesn't work that great if you live outside the US. I have several cards and I didn't necessarily get them for their reward scheme, but like gas. I have one card that pays so much for gas, but only if you buy it in the United States. I have another one that pays so much for groceries. It only works at grocery stores in the United States. My Delta Amex does give me points for restaurants around the world. So, if you are planning to, get in the points game and you're already abroad, you may not be able to maximize it in the same way that somebody living in the US does. Um, and so the last issue that I have with this whole infrastructure, this whole environment ecosystem is y'all know that these credit cards and these hotel brands and all these folks, particularly the credit cards, are not offering these points and these free things to you and this cash back. They're not doing that out of the kindness of their heart. They're doing that to lure you in the hopes that you spend a bunch of money and can carry a balance, right? There's that. But also, how are they paying for this? Let's say you play the game perfectly and you never carry a balance and you maximize transferring between different programs. Who is paying for this free stuff you get? uh, the folks who do carry balances, the people who have lower credit scores, who are getting charged even higher interest rates than you. And let's be real, a lot of times those are Black and brown people. So for me, I feel a kind of way about pursuing this kind of a system where I know how they're being able to fund it is by taking advantage of people who aren't in the best financial situation. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I saw a couple of questions in here. We talked about sign up bonuses. Can you talk about credit card access to airport lounges, especially for international flights? Which should I choose? I cannot give you any knowledge on that because here's the other downside of this. As the card game, the points game has become more popular, more and more people have gotten into the game. So a lot of the perks, this is again, we saw this with Delta when they were reworking their rewards program for 2024 and they got so much backlash, they stepped back from that. But they're still going to do it. They're just going to take a longer time to ramp it up. Is that everybody's getting into the points game, everybody's getting these credit cards so they can get lounge access. And now they have bumped up the floor you need to be at, the level of status you need to be at, the kind of card you need to have in order to get status in certain lounges. They've also eliminated it for some because, as old boy from Delta said, if everybody is special, then nobody is special. So I can't. Maybe somebody in the comments can speak to H&D. Is there a particular lounge that you want access to, like Centurion? Is it the Delta Lounge? That might help somebody be able to give you some feedback as to what kind of card you would need to get. Um, da, 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 da. Is there even such a thing as an interest-free credit card? Not in 2023. Although there are credit cards that will do 0% APR on a balance transfer. And so this is one of the strategies people use to pay down their credit card debt, is to transfer the balance from a card that they are paying interest on to this other card that gives them a 0% introductory rate. Right now, most cards are about somewhere between a year and 15 months. I saw a few that were 18 months. But here's the thing, the minute if you haven't paid off the transferred balance by the end of the grace period, by the end of the introductory period, are going to hit you with all the back interest. They're not just going to start, let's say it's a 12 months and you're into month 13 and you haven't paid it off. No, they are going to hit you with all the interest they could have been charging you for that year. There's that. If you are making new payments on that card, often the 0% does not apply to that as well. So that's something you got to be strategic about if you choose to go that route. Um, Very true, Janella. You can use any credit card interest free if you pay it off every month. Remember, y'all, they are in the business of making money. And they want you in the habit of using a credit card like it's not a big thing. What other area of your life would you be like randomly taking out a loan to go buy groceries? You wouldn't do that if you had to go to the bank and apply for it. But we've made credit cards really, really mundane now. So we've developed kind of some bad habits about our use of them. All right. Uh, Yes, Yvonne mentions this. Depending on the airport lounges you're interested in, they may be part of a network where you can just pay to have lounge access without having the credit card additionally. And I know with some of these cards, they throw in like clear and what's the other thing? The thing when you come back to the US and you don't have to wait in a long line, um, which is all great if you travel in and out of the US a lot. I cannot remember what that's called. Uh, but I don't. So that like that's not an added balance for me. And I know that those extra kinds of perks, uh, pre-check, clear, and can't think of what that other one is, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Thank you. Global entry. People will say, hey, but this card gives me a credit for that. Well, as somebody who lives outside the US and tries not to return that often, that's not a perk that makes a lot of sense for me. So if what you're considering getting the travel card for is lounge access, you can absolutely just pay for that and not have to deal with all the rest of that information. Okay, I think I have hit the questions. It is another job. And like I said, I don't want no more jobs. So and again, I'm not here to necessarily make you say, "Oh no, I shouldn't pursue points." But you need to do it with your eyes open and you need to understand how it actually works. So, that is all we have for today. Thank y'all for coming to hang out with me, and I will see y'all again here tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. Um, Bye.